Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Sochi in Russia for qualifying of rounds 13 and 14 of the International TCR Series. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Sochi by the Black Sea, a holiday resort for many, including Vladimir Putin, the president, and also venue for the 2014 Winter Olympics, although it's very much a summer's afternoon. The fairgrounds filling with Russians enjoying the holiday season here. There is the circuit, 5.8 kilometers in length. We'll have two races of 11 laps each. The lap is about 2 minutes and 20 for our TCR cars. And in fact, we've had three different names for this circuit: the Olympic Park circuit, the International circuit, and now it's simply the Sochi Autodrome. Nothing's really changed though. This is still the circuit which Formula One raced on just a couple of months ago and has held the Grand Prix of Russia for the last couple of years. There's about 7 or 8 different circuits in Russia, but most notably the Moscow Raceway and this, the Sochi Autodrome. So qualifying 1 takes place with 20 minutes of action. And the idea is to qualify through to Q2, which is 10 minutes. So we have 16 entrants, and the top 12 of those entrants will qualify into Q2. So really, it's a battle between 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th. Story of the day so far is that Pepe Ariola has been the man to beat in his Lukoil Seat run by Bamboo. He is equal on points at the top of the championship with James Nash. Matto Homler for B3 Racing and the other black and blue Seats. They've not had such strong practice sessions. They've been struggling with the hot temperatures. It's about 30 degrees here. So a very different kind of setup that we've seen in previous races where it's been a lot colder. Obviously, it was jackets weather, whereas here it's very much shorts weather. That affects the way you treat the tyres, it affects the way you generate grip, and the B3 Racing boys very good at generating grip in their Seat Leon TCR car. But when they don't need to generate it, perhaps they generate too much, and they were about 1.5 seconds slower than the ultimate pace that we saw in qualifying. Jean-Carl Venet leads the cars round. His teammate just behind, Stefano Camini, in the Leopard Racing Volkswagen Golfs run by WRT. The Belgian team got their first win in the TCR International Series at Spa. Sergei Afanasiev throwing the car around, trying to generate some temperature in the rear tyres. Obviously the front tyres doing all the work, doing the steering and also doing the acceleration. So the rear tyres are just kind of there for the ride, and therefore very hard to generate temperature in those rear tyres, even on these hot conditions. The track temperature equal to the air temperature, about 30 degrees. Another way to do it, other than weaving, is to slightly ride the brake to heat up the brake disc, and therefore transfer that energy and temperature into the rim of the tyre and then into the air that's inside the tyre itself. Afanasiev and James Nash came out just behind most of the cars. In fact, I think all of the cars are now out on circuit. Just checking. We have one car still in the pits, which is Rakamelin, who is one of our Russian, there he is, Rakhmatulin, sorry. He's one of our Russian debutants this weekend. In fact, he's not a debutant because he did this race last year, the TCR International Series race in Moscow, and he took part with West Coast Racing. So it's his second time for in the TCR International Series, whereas we are meeting for the first time Vladimir Sheshin, who is racing in the Liqui Moly Team Enxler Volkswagen. So Venet and Camini head off on the first of their fast laps. Venet with the French flag on the wing mirrors, number 2 on the wing screen. Camini behind with the number 1, denoting he was the champion last year, and Camini going a little slower than Venet. Shouldn't be too much pressure for them. Now you can see the B3 Racing boys swapping tyres front and rears. So They're putting on, well, look like they're putting on brand new tyres on the rear. It's a bit strange because that means that they will have no temperature in them. Venet continues to push on. He's broken the first beam at the first sector, but it's not a particularly strong first sector for Jean-Carl Venet. Now, normally what happens is, there you go, right front tyre going on to, and that's Grashov's car. Grashov was third in free practice 2 in his West Coast Honda, and really has a coming of age since he moved from the Liqui Moly Team Enxler team that he was with for the whole of the 2015 season to the West Coast Honda. He's driven lots of different types of car because with Liqui Moly in the first season, he drove with an Audi TT, a Seat Leon, and eventually a Volkswagen Golf. Just taking a look at a rather dirty-looking circuit. There's obviously been some cement dust put down, so the circuit definitely not as clean as it was before. And Sheshin heads out onto circuit. We've lost our clock at the top of the screen, but I can tell you've got 14.5 minutes remaining on this particular session. And I remind you, the important thing is to qualify through into the top 12 positions. So Jean-Carl Venet then sets a 2:25.4. That's well off what he's capable of doing, probably about 3 seconds off what he's capable of doing. Michele Cerruti comes across the line at 2:28, and teammate Peter Fullin does a 2:25. And now Attila Tassi moves into third position with a 2:26. All of these times nowhere near the kind of pace that we expect to see. We're looking at maybe 2:20s, 2:21s. That is the ultimate pace. So even these times won't qualify you through into the second part of qualifying, although Sergei Afanasyev does a 23.4. That probably is good enough. Just about, I would have thought, because we had the B3 racing guys who are 1.5 seconds off the pace, so they were on a 23.0, I think, and they were around about that cut-off point. We lost, if we had free practice 2 as qualifying, then we would have lost one of the Alfa Romeos, Michele Cerruti. She didn't have a very nice, fun session. She had a few problems with her Alfa Romeo. And we would have also lost Ildar Rakhmatulin, who wasn't up to speed, and then we would have lost 2 of the B3 racing guys. So 1.5 seconds off the top is about the cutoff, which equates to about a 23.0. So no one yet has gone under a 23.0 and therefore would consider themselves safe. David Kajaya just ahead of Jean-Carl Venet. Very dirty around that part of the circuit. The other problem they've had over the race weekend here is a huge amount of locusts that seem to enjoy sunbathing on the tarmac of the Sochi Autodrome. Having a quick look at the engineers at West Coast Racing, just discussing their 2 drivers, 3 drivers this weekend, sorry. Grashov, Morbidelli, and not Rakhmatulin, the other one, Vladimir Sheshin. Oh no, it was Rakhmatulin, sorry. Now he's a bit late onto the track because he was racing TCR Russia, so he's doing lots of work this weekend. Right, but now we've got some times in. Jean-Carl Venet, 23.2. Circuit is a little slower, isn't it, than we've seen in the last session. There you can see those little black dots. Those are all locusts, and they are filling up the radiators and causing real problems for the teams. The radiator's very low, the splitter's picking them up, and then obviously they're being kind of splatted onto the grill, and the grill is then filling up with these locusts and causing airflow problems and overheating for the cars. So certainly something to watch out for, especially in the race if they stick around. If the rain comes and washes them away, they won't stick around. Having a quick look at the Bamboo team to pick up Pepe Oriola, who's through the final sector. He's going to set the first representative lap time, and that is a 22.2. He should be good with that. Morbidelli has done a 23.0, who should be good with that. Then Vinay, James Nash followed Oriola across the line to do a 23.3. I think behind them was Kamini, perhaps, but Kamini hasn't set a decent time yet. He's backed out of his last lap, so that was a 3 minutes 03. And there are the B3 Racing guys wanting to watch the television, but the television is showing them, so they're not able to pick up any of the drivers. Oh, we've got 2 RFs, that's very nice. Right, the important thing is people qualifying through into Q2. Whoa, Dusan really late on the brakes, somehow gets it slowed down. We've seen that time and time again from Dusan Borkovic. He really is on the very limit of adhesion when he's driving his B3 Racing Seat. He's managed to outbrake some amazing moves, both in Oschersleben and in the Salzburg ring. But I think maybe just a little bit on the very limit there. And again throws the car in massive oversteer. All 4 wheels off. We've got to watch out for track limits. Turn 2 is one of the places where they're really watching, and we could lose lap times if that's the case. Borkovic at the moment is qualified in P7. We're actually only losing 3 drivers because we've only got 15 cars on track. Fulin goes P3 with a nice slipstream from Michele Cerruti, and Cerruti is P11. At the moment we're losing Grashov, Rakhmatulin and Kamini. Now Kamini surely can do a better lap. Where is Stefano Kamini on the circuit? He's in sector 3 of the lap, and so he's about to complete his first fast, proper lap time. There's Oriola going through the final sector of the lap, and we await Stefano Kamini, who is... I'm confused now. I think he is still in the last sector of the lap. He is. Kamini's coming towards the line. And this should qualify him. Where is he? Well, Oriola's gone faster. Kamini goes second. There we go. So Stefano Kamini, somewhere abouts, is going to appear into the shot. And no idea. Okay, so Oriola is fastest. Oh, now car 8's lap has been disallowed for track limits. That's Grashov. That's the lap that he's on now. So the one that he's about to finish, that is going pretty well, is going to be disallowed. So when he completes it, he'll have to do another one. 7 minutes left. Now we're coming to the kind of the crux of the matter. And the people who are under pressure... Ooh, that's a horrible shot. What's going on there? This Dusan Borkovic. Big old slide. Yee, and that was a big mistake. Yeah, so replay for the B3 Racing guys, and they didn't particularly enjoy that. Dusan, I think, wants a new set of tyres, but he's going to have to be quick about it. He's only got 7 minutes left, and he's on the edge of being knocked out here. At the moment, Grashov is out because he hasn't set a good time. Rakhmatulin is out, and Michele Cerruti. Now Cerruti should be able to improve and put some pressure on Vladimir Sheshin, or Sheshenin even, and then ahead of him is Borkovic, and then Kajaya in P10. So those are the people that we need to be concerned about. Rakhmatulin is on a better lap time in the 3rd sector of the lap, but it's still 2 seconds off, and the bubble, if you like, is 2.3. So he could just about make it with this. We are watching the 2 Lukoil drivers, James Nash, who is P9, so it's not a great time from Nash, but it's good enough. He's happily safe in because he's 1.6 off Oriola, his teammate, so no problems in terms of his qualification into Q2. And Nash now threads his way through the final couple of corners. Morbidelli in the pits, that's okay, he's P4. He can rest up a little bit, wait until Q2, because he will qualify into Q2, no doubt. And there is Grashov. So Grashov at the moment, P15, a 2:28, the only time that's been registered. And he desperately needs a good lap. Not a particularly tidy line, a bit direct there through what is turns 15 and 16, sorry. No, it's not, it's 12 and 13. Now he comes to turns 14, 15 and 16. I'm getting all my numbers mixed up here. And through towards the final sector of the lap. Marl Bedelli is going to head back out again with 5 minutes remaining. Borkovic has moved himself up into P4. That's significant because it keeps him away from the danger zone. No warning for Mikhail Grashov on this particular lap, so he's going to come towards the line and he goes only 11th. That's not safe. 1.6 back. He's really on the bubble there. He's ahead of Kajaya P12, but only by a 10th and a half. So Grashov's going to have to keep pushing. Meanwhile, Cheruti is last, Rakhmatulin 14th, and Vladimir Sheshenin is in 13th. Those are the three drivers who are out. Sheshenin comes over the line and does not improve his lap time. And we continue to watch Mikhail Grashov push on. Rakhmatulin is on a better lap time this time through. He's in the final sector of the lap. It's going to be marginal whether he moves himself up a position or not. Michaela Cerruti's just come over the line, a 24.9. She does improve, but it doesn't move her up a position, so she's still in 15th position. There is Peter Fullin. He's safely through. He's actually taken, he's just come out of the pits, in fact. He's P7. Cerruti, though, needs to keep pushing on. Let's have a watch of her. We've got a great view inside the cockpit. A little bit of wheel spin on the exit of the turn there. And Rakhmatulin should be across the line any moment now. He goes 13th. He improves one position, but he's still outside the top 12. Come on, Michaela. Fullin, her teammate, is in 7th position. You can see the radiator filled up with bugs. It won't be helping the cooling, but thankfully this Alfa Romeo has got good cooling. There's been a lot of work on it. She's lost a second in the first sector, and the cut-off point is 1.6, so she can only lose 6/10 for the rest of the lap. Throws the car in. And it's not as good a lap time even in that first sector. And I fear we might be losing an Alfa Romeo in Q1 here. Just doesn't look quite as aggressive when she's under brakes. The nose doesn't dip quite as much as we've seen other cars. She heads up to break the beam in sector 2. And what is going to be the split? We've got 2 minutes and 35 seconds remaining. She's 2.2 down. There must be something wrong in terms of power. She's losing time hand over foot. Grashov, but meanwhile, has improved up to P8, so he's now away from that danger zone. And the three people that can dispose David Kajaya, who is 12th, out of the top 12 are our guest drivers, Rakhmatulin in the Honda, Sheshenin in the Volkswagen, and then this lady, Mikhail Cerruti. We're watching Dicky Coleman, who's got three drivers safely through into Q2. There's Sergei Afanasyev. And Cerruti all four wheels off. And even that's not going to help her. Oh, it's all very messy through the final turn. She accelerates towards the line, but 4 seconds off at 25.7. It's going away from her. That's a second slower than she managed last time through. Rakhmatulin is equally having all sorts of problems in his Honda. He's 5.5 seconds off. And Sheshenin is in sector 1 of the lap somewhere. A quick look at Mato Homola, who's he's actually down in 10th position. Homola and Tassi 10th and 11th. He's on a slow lap, so I think he'll be coming into the pits at the end of this. Nasha sitting pretty in his car, P5 by the end. Now David Kajaya is on a better lap. Kajaya is 12th, so at the moment he's not quite safe. It's a better lap, and Sheshinin is going better as well. So this is a battle then between teammates to qualify through into Q2. You can see on the graphic there, both have improved their lap time. The cut-off point is 1.7 seconds, so Sheshinin has just about missed out there. Kajaya is going better, and yeah, 1.8 seconds. So Sheshinin has to find time if he wants to improve. Here's Kajaya then. There's Sheshinin just ahead of him, and Peter Fulin is still out in the Alfa Romeo, putting more laps down. 5 seconds remaining then of the qualifying session. I'm not sure anything's going to change here. Rakhmatulin has just pulled into the pits, so he will play no further part in P13. There is Sheshinin coming through the final turn. And Kajaya is just behind him. Sheshinin cuts the beam, a 24.3, no improvement. Fulin goes up to P4 with a slipstream. And what about Kajaya? No improvement for him. So Sheshinin is out, Kajaya is in. And the checker flags have been received by many. Michaela Truti is still on a lap, but I think she'll probably pull herself into the pits. No chance of improvement. So no real great surprises then in terms of the qualifying positions. So who can we predict to take the pole position then? Oriola hasn't had a pole position this year. Neither has James Nash in P2 in the championship. Mato Homola has. B3 have been very good at qualifying. Homola had pole position at Estoril. Dusan Borkovic had pole position in Spa and in Oschersleben. West Coast had 2 pole positions, Morbidelli in Imola and Procek in Salzburg. And Sergei Afanasiev had the opening pole position of the year in Bahrain. So no Leopard poles. So Kamini and Vinay could change that. And then no poles for either of our top drivers. There is Michaela Ceruti, winner of the fan award, but she's going to be a little bit disappointed. I think she is, yeah. Indeed. Just going to go and take a few moments to cool down. Very frustrating. She's been racing in the Lamborghini Trofeo car, the Super Trofeo car in the Blancpain series. Very different beast, sort of 500-600 horsepower worth of GT3 car, rear-wheel drive, and big endurance races. And then she comes over and with Alfa as an Alfa ambassador and races in the TCR International Series in this developing Alfa Romeo. So great to have an Alfa as our, I guess, 4th brand represented in TCR International Series. There are others available. The Opel runs in different series, but not in the International Series at the moment. There is also, obviously, the Subaru that we've had sporadically in the championship, and various other brands being developed, and rumours of different cars. But from the moment, the strong 3 are the Volkswagen Golf, the Seat, and the Honda. So, qualifying 1 results then. Oriola faster than Kamini Vinay. Fulin, great effort with the slipstream, of course, but P4, that Alfa, he's got it working so well for him. And Borkovic, Nash, Morbidelli, Grashov, Afanasiev, and Homola. Tassi and Kajaya. And then there was a bit of a gap to Rakhmatulin, Sheshin, and Miki Ceruti. She's calmed down enough to talk to our roving pit reporter, Mark James. I hope she's not too angry.
Michaela, we could see the frustration in those last few laps. What's happened?
I don't know. I was just trying to improve, but probably I didn't find the right setup for qualifying again. So I'm starting from the back. Now I'm getting a bit used to it, honestly, which I'm not happy with. But I will try to do something better in the race. That's the only thing I can do.
Are you able to learn from Petter, from his settings, or are the 2 completely different?
No, of course. I mean, we had different problems and we had also different cars, so probably got something that I didn't. And yeah, we are working together to improve both. So let's hope that he can do something good, at least.
Okay, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, strange one for Miki Cerruti. Definitely has the pace. That car is definitely better than she was showing, but the pace was so different between her and Fulin that it must be a car issue. It's not just going to be a setup issue, and it's not just going to be her driving. Some investigation on various things. Losing a second in the first sector alone. Okay, it's in a minute sector, but that's a lot of pace to lose. Not that many corners. I think under braking definitely didn't look as confident and strong. The nose wasn't quite as aggressively digging into the ground. And we have two other Russians starting behind her. So Q2 then, only 10 minutes long. This is the important bit. This is where you score yourself a few championship points, and also, more importantly, you get yourself a good grid position. Sergei Afanasyev stays behind, waits to be the last car on track. The first car will be James Nash. Look at all of those locusts on the left-hand side and filling the radiators. It's absolutely crazy to think those are little bugs everywhere. What can the Alfa Romeo do? Where are we going to have an Alfa Romeo? How wonderful to see him in Q2. It's the ambition of John Gentry for that car to be consistently there, and I think he's probably made it happen now. The Honda of Rakhmatulin stays in the pit lane as he is also out of Q2, out of Q1, not in Q2. James Nash it is who will be the first to break the beam to begin his lap time. Traditionally not a particularly strong competitor in qualifying. He admits it himself. Then behind him is Morbidelli. Pepe Oriola dropping back a little bit. James is just going to try and get himself some clear air here. Nasty. But a good explanation of what we were talking about. There's a lot of bugs around the circuit. Drivers' points are a reminder then. Oriola and Nash, no points separating them. Hommler 4 back. Homler's got to be aiming for a pole position for Q2, race 2, I would have thought. Remember, the person who is 10th position will inherit the pole position for the second race of the afternoon tomorrow. A small shakedown in the morning, and then 2 races. And they're all in the morning if you are in the UK. A relatively early start for us. And they won't conflict with any other of your racing lots of shots of our mechanics who've been working very, very hard. Yeah, you've got a bit of mud in your, a bit of dirt in your eye there. Right then, let's follow James Nash. Let's see what he can do around this Sochi Autodrome. 5.8 kilometers in length. It's a long, long circuit. The aim is to be around the 2 minutes and 20-second bracket, and James Nash starts the first of his lap. He's probably not going to be ultimately faster on this lap. Maybe the second lap will be the one, but let's watch anyway. Down towards what is affectionately known as turn 2, because turn 1 is that flat-out right kink. Gets the car slowed down. It's a bit of a chicane, but he stays off the curbs, and now this long, long turn 3. 180-degree left-hander punishing the right front tyre, but the bump steer allowing the rear to turn as well. Now got the car straight, turned in for turn 4. Run as much curb as you dare. And now a short shoot up to the bumpy braking zone at turn 5. It just rises just there as you're on the brakes, so you have to moderate just to make sure you don't lock up. Through 5 and now towards 6. That's this little kink just here. 7's the next one. Difficult braking zone because you're kind of trail braking all the way into it to carry the speed towards turn 8. Swap over, get as close to the wall as you dare, and then turn into 8, which continues into 9. It's a double apex. Back across to the other side of the road, big braking. And as you can see, the nose dips. And that transfers the weight over that front wheel to allow you to turn through 9, and then the long shoot through 10 and 11 up to the heavy braking zone near the paddock at 12. Turns left, then hug the wall on the left-hand side because you're braking through into turn 13. Probably one of the slower corners of the lap. Under the tunnel that takes you into the circuit. Now we're heading towards the paddock. 15 and 16, this tricky chicane. Be careful on this left-hand turn. You want to be tidy. Oh, and I think he's had 2 bites at that. That wasn't as tidy as he would like. And now heads towards the 2 final turns of the lap, turns 17 and turns 18. Pepe Oriola has a warning for track limits at turn 2. Nash coming towards the final turn now. Turns through the right-hander and towards the line with 4 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Nash sets a 22, but Camini's done a 21, as has Morbidelli. Oriola does a 21.1 as well, but it's only good enough for 2nd position. Fulin goes into 5th position, Nash down to 7th. As the drivers register their first time. They might even go under the 220 bracket here. Borkovic goes 6th, Grashov down to 7th, Nash 8th, Kuzhaya 9th, Homela in 10th position but hasn't yet set a lap time. Homela, Afanasiev and Tassi still to come. Homela goes 9th, Kuzhaya down to 10th position. What about Afanasiev and Tassi? They are in the final sector of the lap. Afanasiev goes in 10th position. That's great for race 2. What about Attila Tassi? Tassi's going to have a good lap here, I think, when he comes to the line through the final turn. And this is going to be a very strong lap from Attila Tassi. Up to 9th position, ahead of Homela. So teammates, 9th and 10th. Right, reset, breathe. We've got another one to come, another rush of times. Who's fast and who's slow on these next laps? Camini, Oriola, Vernet, Morbidelli, Fulin, Borkovic, Grashov, Nash, Tassi and Homela, your top 10. Afanasiev out of the top 10 in 11th position. Camini has Morbidelli right behind him. Does that mean Camini has made a mistake somewhere in the middle sector of the lap, or has Morbidelli just caught him up? Simple as that. Morbidelli's going to benefit hugely from a slipstream around the back of the circuit here. And there's nothing that Camini can do. No, Morbidelli's just simply caught him up. Camini's on a better lap. He is slightly improving, but he's dragging him around. Now, Oriola's had a lap disallowed for track limits. Pepe Oriola, therefore, does not set a time. He now needs to push. He had track limits at turn 2 and turn 18. Stefano Camini a bit messy through the final sector of the lap. The West Coast Racing team are expecting something from Morbidelli, but Morbidelli, he must have been passed by Camini. Yeah, he was. It's a slow lap from Morbidelli. This is not a good lap, but he's tucking up behind Camini, perhaps to get a slipstream in the next one. Nash did not improve. He made a mistake in the final sector. Camini doesn't improve. He made a mistake in the final sector, although minimal. Vernet goes 2nd. It's a 1-2 for Leopard at the moment. Who else improves? No improvements on this second lap. What about Pepe Oriola, though? He just begins a lap because his second lap was not good. And he's right in the middle of the traffic there. Vernet into 2nd, Homela up to 7th, Nash and Tassi. And Afanasiev is coming towards the line now to improve. He must have already improved. Yes, he did, up to P10. So Afanasiev is in there. Oh, he didn't improve, of course, because Oriola got disqualified from that last time. So Afanasiev stays in 10th. Tassi comes towards the line. No improvement from him. He stays 9th. Afanasiev in 10th. Homela was the improver then in that last lap. He got himself up to P7. Afanasiev also improved a little bit. Peter Fulin, by the way, in that Alpha is P4. Mulsanne are going to be jumping up and down with joy. Oriola, faster than anybody else so far. He's in traffic. He's towing around Grashov. That Alpha really responding to the tow because he's sat in behind Grashov as well. Can Ariola pick up a slipstream from the car in front? Can't quite see it who it is. I think it's Morbidelli who's moving out of the way. Ariola at the moment is P12. If he gets himself up into the top 10, he's going to knock Sergei Afanasyev off pole position for the second race of the afternoon and put Attila Tassi there and put championship rival on the front row of the grid, James Nash. Nash is 8th at the moment. Ariola 2.5 tenths up on Stefano Camini through this part of the lap. Camini's going well too. Nash's slight improvement. How slow is that from Ariola through that chicane? He comes towards turns 17 and 18. Nash has improved up to P6. But here comes Ariola through the final turn. P12 at the moment. Can he take pole position? The checker flag awaits him. No! P2 for Ariola. He splits the two Leopard racing cars, and it's Stefano Camini on that first lap out of the pits who takes the pole position. They've all taken the checkered flag. Actually, Camini can go again. The checker flag fell just after Camini crossed the line. Borkovic has come across the line and has stayed in 6th position. So Nash was the improver, as was Ariola on those last laps. But Jean Calvinet has had that last lap disallowed for track limits. It wasn't actually that good though, so that's fine. Here is Stefano Camini though. He doesn't need to improve, he doesn't need to push because he is on pole position anyway. The only other people that could still improve, James Nash. And Nash is also on a lap again. And Attila Tassi could improve, but his first sector was rather messy. And actually his second sector is even worse. He obviously moved out of the way from all the traffic coming through. There's Nash, and there's Camini. Camini no better than he's been before through the first sector of the lap. I wonder if he's winding himself down here. He doesn't need to push. Meanwhile, James Nash is still pushing. A 51.8 in the first sector is still a man on a mission to improve. Afanasyev comes across the line. He does improve, but stays 11th spot. And he will start both races in 11th. Meanwhile, I can tell you, Camini's slowing down, so he's not going to make any more improvements. But James Nash is still on a lap in the final sector. Half a second down. He's 8 tenths down at the moment, so this could be an improvement from James Nash. Now through the final 2 turns of the lap. And across the line, no improvement, so he lost a second in that final sector. And he stays in 7th position. And look at the radiator now, completely covered in bugs. And surely that's going to affect the temperature. It is absolutely covered in the brake ducts. The brake ducts are those grills, the small holes on the left and right. And the major one in the front is the radiator. That's still going to get some air, but I'll tell you what, the brakes are going to be red hot and probably not quite as efficient as they were. Who knows what's going to happen in a half an hour race tomorrow if this bug situation continues. So James Nash then did not improve. It was a slow final sector of the lap. He was on course to move up to P5 actually, because there's quite a big gap between 4 and 5. Camini, Ariola, your front row. Stefano Camini taking his first pole position of the season. It was a thing he was rather good at in 2015. Actually, that's a complete and utter lie. He only took 1 pole position in Singapore last year. So this is the first time a pole position for Stefano Camini in 2016. It's his second pole position of the season, and I think that may well be the very first pole position in the TCR International Series for Volkswagen. That's a significant one. The Liqui Moly team Enxler cars last year were Audi TTs when Nicky Thiem took pole position in Portimao. We didn't see any other times, so I think I can confirm that that is the first time a Volkswagen has taken pole position in the TCR International Series, and that is significant. Here are the results then. Camini from Oriola by a 10.5, then Vernet in third, Morbidelli fourth position. What a result from Peter Fullin in fifth spot, Borkovic sixth, and Nash in seventh position. And then Grashov in eighth spot. Homler and Tassi will share the front row for the second race of the weekend. Afanasyev missing the top 10 shootout with David Kajai in 12th position. Let's now hear from the poleman.
Stefano, many congratulations. Not just your first pole position, but the first pole position for Volkswagen.
Thank you very much. No, but I think Vernet did a pole position in Salzburg, or not?
Now you're asking. Anyway, let's move on. It's your first pole position. Well done. It looked very exciting. We thought that Pepe was going to take it away from you. How much did you know? How much were you aware?
I don't know. I was concentrated in my car, and I tried to push all the time and to try to preserve the tires for the race. But the car was consistent and really fast. Really fast. For the first time this year, the car was really very fast on the dry.
What can happen in the races tomorrow?
Sorry?
What can happen in the races tomorrow, because you know who's alongside you, don't you?
Yeah, all can be possible here in Sochi. All. Also, I will try to do my race and to give some show to the public and to try to take my second victory of the year.
And will the racing boots bring you luck, do you think?
yeah, because we had some problem with my shoes. They are in the workshop, in the Leopard workshop in Mons, and Pepe gave me her old shoes and this one.
Let's hope they bring you luck. Good luck. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Ciao, guys.
Well, at least he's wearing race boots rather than flip-flops. Stefano Camini is kind of right, because Jean Colvenet was on the pole position in Salzburg on Sunday, but remember, Harold Procek claimed the pole position. He was the fastest man in qualifying, but then there was a penalty, which should have been qualifying penalty, but actually was applied to the grid. So Jean Colvenet started on pole position, but didn't take pole position in Salzburg, if that clears it up. Either way, points are awarded in qualifying, and therefore Oriola now has a full-point gap over James Nash. Homler's down to third position, 8 points behind, and Stefano Camini, obviously with 5 points for that pole, has closed the gap to the top three just a little bit. Vernet, Morbidelli, Afanasyev are still in the hunt for the championship. We've got Thailand, we've got Singapore, we've got Malaysia and Macau in the rest of the season, so plenty of points still to play for, and actually plenty of people still available to claim that championship. What else would you expect from Stefano Camini? Pole position man here in Sochi. He was out playing volleyball with his teammate Jean Colvenet yesterday. He was more interested in making sandcastles. But now, when it matters, he's won the first prize of the weekend, and that is pole position for the races tomorrow in Sochi. Attila Tassi will be on pole for the second race of the weekend. It's a place where he's been before, and he'll have Matto Homler, championship challenger, alongside him. So we've got two very exciting races coming up for you tomorrow. And what is the weather going to do? Right now, it's beautiful, but anything can happen in TCR, and it usually does.